My brother humiliated my daughter at her birthday party in front of all her friends. My parents chose his side. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It started with a birthday cake. I was standing in my backyard, watching my 8-year-old daughter Emma blow out her candles, surrounded by her classmates and friends. The sun was shining, the decorations were perfect, and for once, everything felt right in my world as a single father. That's when my brother Marcus arrived. I should have trusted my instincts when he walked through the gate with that smirk on his face. Marcus had always been the family favorite, the successful lawyer, the one with the perfect wife and the corner office downtown. When our parents talked about their sons, it was always Marcus the attorney and David who tries his best. I was the divorced dad who worked construction, the one who disappointed everyone by choosing love over law school. Emma had been so excited about her party. She'd planned every detail for weeks, from the unicorn theme to the specific playlist she wanted. As a single father, I'd worked double shifts to afford the bounce house, the decorations, and enough pizza for 20 kids. This was her day, and I was determined to make it perfect. Wow, quite the production for an 8-year-old, Marcus said, surveying the scene with his arms crossed. His wife Jennifer stood beside him, looking uncomfortable in her designer outfit among the other parents in casual clothes. Must have cost you a fortune. Hope you didn't put this on credit cards again. I forced a smile. It's her birthday, Marcus. She deserves to be celebrated. He laughed that condescending laugh I'd heard my entire life. Right, because spending money you don't have is definitely good parenting. But I let it slide. This was Emma's day, and I wasn't going to let his attitude ruin it. Emma ran over, her face glowing with excitement, still wearing her birthday crown. Uncle Marcus, did you see my bounce house? And look at my dress. She spun around, showing off the sparkly unicorn dress we'd picked out together. Marcus looked down at her with that fake smile he reserved for children. Very nice, Emma. Though I have to ask, did you thank your daddy for spending all his grocery money on this party? Emma's face fell. She looked confused, then worried. Daddy, did we not have money for food? My heart clenched. No, sweetheart, we're fine. Uncle Marcus is just joking. But Marcus wasn't done. Oh, I'm not joking. Your daddy called Grandma last month asking for money again, didn't he? Maybe if you had a smaller party, Daddy wouldn't have to borrow from family. The other parents were starting to stare. Emma's friends had stopped playing. My daughter's eyes filled with tears as she looked between Marcus and me, suddenly ashamed of her own birthday party. Marcus, that's enough? I said quietly, trying to keep my voice steady. What? I'm just being honest. The kid should know that parties like this don't grow on trees. Maybe it's time she learned some responsibility about money instead of thinking she deserves princess treatment. That's when it happened. Emma, my brave little girl who'd been through so much already with the divorce, who'd heard enough arguments about money to last a lifetime, looked up at her uncle with tears streaming down her face. I don't want to be expensive, she whispered. I'm sorry, Daddy. Something inside me broke. This was my daughter's 8th birthday party, surrounded by her friends, and she was apologizing for existing, for wanting to celebrate, for being a child who deserved joy. Emma, go play with your friends, I said gently. Uncle Marcus and I need to talk. I pulled Marcus aside, my hands shaking with anger. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm trying to help, he said, straightening his tie. You're raising her to think money doesn't matter, that she can have whatever she wants. Someone needs to teach her reality. She's 8 years old at her birthday party, and she's spoiled. Look around, David. Bounce houses, catered food, party favors. This is excessive for someone in your financial position. I'm doing you a favor by teaching her some humility. I looked back at Emma, who was standing by herself now while her friends played, her birthday crown crooked, her joy completely shattered. Other parents were whispering, some packing up to leave early. Get out, I said. Excuse me. Get out of my house. Get out of my yard. Get away from my daughter. Marcus laughed. You're being dramatic. I was just being honest about your situation. You humiliated an 8-year-old at her own birthday party because you can't stand that I threw her something nice. You're jealous that despite everything, she loves me and looks up to me, and you can't handle that. His face darkened. Don't project your insecurities onto me, David. I have everything I could want. Then why are you here trying to destroy a child's birthday party? He left, but not before making one final comment loud enough for everyone to hear. Good luck explaining the credit card bills, brother. The party limped along after that. Some parents stayed, blessed them, and helped me redirect the kids back to having fun. But Emma was different for the rest of the day. Quieter. She kept asking if we really didn't have money for food, if she was too expensive, if she should have asked for a smaller party. That night, after all the guests had gone home and Emma was in bed, I called my parents. I told them what happened, how Marcus had humiliated Emma, how he'd made her feel ashamed of her own birthday celebration. There was a long pause. Then my father said, "Well, son, Marcus does have a point about the spending." And my mother added, "You know he only wants what's best for Emma. Maybe next year something smaller would be more appropriate." Not one word of concern for Emma's feelings. Not one acknowledgement that what Marcus did was cruel. Just agreement that I was the problem. I hung up the phone and sat in my living room, looking at the leftover decorations, the half-eaten cake, the pile of presents Emma had barely had a chance to enjoy before her spirit was crushed. That's when I made a decision. They wanted to talk about money, about what I could and couldn't afford, about teaching Emma her place. Fine. Let me show them what I could really afford. They didn't know about the settlement from my construction accident 2 years ago. They didn't know about the investment account I'd been quietly building. They thought I was broke because I chose to live modestly, to save for Emma's future instead of flashing wealth around. They were about to learn the difference between being careful with money and not having money at all. I didn't sleep that night. Emma crawled into my bed around midnight, still upset. "Daddy, are we poor?" she whispered. "No, sweetheart. We're not poor." "Then why did Uncle Marcus say those things?" I held her close. "Because sometimes grown-ups say mean things when they're hurting inside. But that doesn't make it okay. Will you still have birthday parties for me?" My heart broke all over again. "Emma, you will have every birthday party you want, and no one will ever make you feel bad about celebrating yourself again." The next morning, I made some calls. First, to my financial advisor, then to a few others. By noon, I had a plan. Marcus worked at the biggest law firm in town. They handled a lot of construction contracts, including some for the company I used to work for before my accident. What they didn't know was that I now owned a silent partnership in 3 different construction companies in the area. It took one phone call to pull our contracts from his firm, then another call to 2 other companies I had connections with. By the end of the week, Marcus's firm had lost over $2 million in annual contracts. But that was just the beginning. I'd been quietly watching Marcus for years, and I knew his weakness, his image. He lived in a house he couldn't really afford, drove cars that stretched his budget, and threw money around to maintain his status as the successful brother. So I decided to buy that status from under him. The country club where he played golf every weekend, I became a major investor. The charity gala where he and Jennifer were supposed to be honored next month, I made a substantial donation and quietly requested they reconsider their honorees, citing some concerns about character. I wasn't trying to destroy him. I was just removing his platforms for looking down on others. The real blow came 2 weeks later. Marcus called me, his voice tight with panic. "What did you do?" "I'm sorry. Don't play dumb. 3 major clients dropped us this week. The Morrison account, the Henderson development, the Riverside project, all gone. And somehow they all traced back to companies you're connected to." I let the silence hang. "That's interesting. Maybe they just found better representation." "You son of a..." "Careful, Marcus. Is that any way for a successful attorney to talk? You're sabotaging my career because I hurt your feelings at a kid's party?" "No," I said quietly. "I'm showing you what happens when you hurt my daughter's feelings at her birthday party." Another silence. Then, "Look, maybe I was a little harsh. You made an 8-year-old girl apologize for existing. You humiliated her in front of her friends and made her ashamed of celebrating her own birthday. I was just trying to teach her. You were trying to make yourself feel big by making a child feel small. And now you know how that feels." I hung up. But Marcus wasn't the only one who needed to learn that lesson. 3 days later, my parents called. "David, we need to talk," my mother said. "Marcus told us what's been happening with his work situation. What about it? We know you're behind it somehow. This needs to stop." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Now you want to talk? When Marcus humiliated Emma at her birthday party, you took his side. When he made her cry and feel ashamed, you said he had a point. But now that there are consequences for his actions, suddenly it's a problem. You're destroying your brother's livelihood over a misunderstanding," my father said. "A misunderstanding? Dad, he made my 8-year-old daughter apologize for being too expensive. He ruined her birthday party because he was jealous that I could afford to celebrate her. Well, maybe if you hadn't been so flashy about it. That's when I lost it. Flashy? I threw my daughter a birthday party. With a bounce house and pizza. That's what loving parents do. You don't need to be so dramatic, my mother said. Marcus was just concerned about your finances. No, he wasn't. He was being cruel to make himself feel superior. And you enabled it because you've always enabled it. He's family, she said quietly. So is Emma. So am I. But you've never treated us like family when it mattered. I could hear them whispering to each other. Then my father came back on the line. What do you want us to do? I want you to apologize to Emma. I want you to acknowledge that what Marcus did was wrong. And I want you to promise it will never happen again. And if we do that, you'll stop whatever you're doing to Marcus? I thought about Emma that night, crying in my arms, asking if she was too expensive. I'll consider it. They hung up without agreeing to anything. A month later, I was at Emma's school for her art show. She'd painted a beautiful picture of our family, just the two of us, standing in front of our house, both of us smiling. No one else in the picture. Where are Grandma and Grandpa and Uncle Marcus? I asked. She looked up at me with those wise 8-year-old eyes. They're not in our happy place, Daddy. That's when I knew I'd made the right choice. Later that evening, there was a knock at the door. Marcus stood there, looking defeated. No expensive suit, no cocky smile, just my little brother looking lost. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry for what I said to Emma. I'm sorry for ruining her party. I'm sorry for making her feel small. I didn't say anything. I lost the Henderson account today. The partners are talking about making cuts. Jennifer is, she's not handling the stress well. Good, I said. He looked shocked. Good. Yes. Good. Because maybe now you'll understand how it feels to have someone attack what matters most to you. David, please. I know I messed up, but you didn't mess up, Marcus. You chose to be cruel to a child because it made you feel powerful. There's a difference. He stood there for a long moment. What do you want from me? I want you to apologize to Emma. Really apologize. And I want you to mean it. And then we'll see. He did apologize to Emma the next day. He sat in our living room, got down to her level, and told her he was sorry for making her feel bad about her birthday party. He told her she deserved to be celebrated, that she wasn't too expensive, that her daddy loved her and worked hard to make her happy. Emma, being 8 and having the biggest heart in the world, forgave him immediately. I didn't, but I did stop actively working against him. Some of the contracts came back. His firm stabilized. He kept his job, though the partnership track was probably over. My parents eventually called to apologize too, though it felt forced and hollow. They wanted their family back together, wanted to pretend none of it had happened. But Emma and I were building our own family now. Just the two of us, and the people who truly cared about her happiness. 6 months later, I threw Emma another party, not for her birthday, but just because I wanted to celebrate her finishing 2nd grade with straight A's. It was smaller this time, just a few close friends, but Emma's joy was pure and untainted. As I watched her laugh with her friends, I realized something important. I hadn't just been protecting Emma from Marcus that day. I'd been protecting both of us from people who thought love was conditional, who believed that joy had to be earned or justified. Emma looked over at me and waved, her face glowing with happiness. In that moment, I knew we were exactly where we belonged, in our own happy place, surrounded by people who celebrated us instead of tearing us down. And if anyone ever tried to make my daughter feel small again, they'd learn the same lesson Marcus did. I may live modestly, but I love fiercely, and there's no limit to what I'll do to protect my little girl's right to be celebrated. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.